Hi there, my name's Carrie Griffiths, and in this course I'm going to be sharing with you how you can start to speak more confidently and reach your audiences, making a bigger impact without getting a sore throat or a croaky voice or losing your voice. So if you're watching this right now, maybe you're a coach or a speaker or someone who uses your voice professionally, and you would like to find a way of getting through those multi-day events, those lengthy seminars, without putting more strain on your voice. So maybe you've been finding that your voice is taking the strain, you're getting to the end of the day fatigued, your voice feels weak and wobbly, and maybe you're even starting to lose your voice. Now, I started as a singer 22 years ago, and for the whole of that time, I've been actively studying and practicing and learning more and more about the voice. I'm absolutely fascinated by it. And for the past 16 years, I've been helping singers and speakers and coaches with their voice. Now, I've been blessed to have travelled the world. I've performed in over 30 countries. I performed to multiple thousands of people. But what I really love to do now is to help other people to harness the unique power of their voices so that you can maximise your impact with your clients and your audiences. And I do that using a unique, fun and really simple 4-part system that I have created. So let's dive straight into it. So maybe right now you have been finding that your voice has been taking the strain. Maybe you're feeling that your voice is maybe weak and wobbly, sometimes shaky, and that could be knocking your confidence. And when that happens, that has an impact on your audiences and your clients. And so what I'm going to help you with today is to gain more control of your voice, start building up that power, and so that you can start delivering with more confidence. Now, the voice is something that most of us are born with, and for that reason, a lot of us take it for granted. It's always there. It's there when we wake up in the morning. It's there when we go to bed at night. Even if it does feel like it's weak, even if it does feel croaky, and even if you do get hoarse and sore. And what a lot of us tend to do is to ignore what's going on with our voices, even when it's impacting our confidence, even when it's getting in the way of helping us to deliver our message to the people who need it. Okay. And so what I'm going to share with you is how to build better vocal health, how to establish better vocal health so that you're always on top of your voice and so that you control your voice rather than it controlling you. So if you find that you're struggling to get your words out because you're getting hoarse and you're clearing your throat constantly, that can get really annoying. And when you constantly clear your throat, it can get sore and it actually damages your voice, whether temporarily or permanently. But every little bruise and tiny tear has an impact on how you sound, has an impact on your voice. Now, what most people don't know is that good vocal health can actually help to indicate or identify serious illnesses, even to do with your lungs or your heart. So it's really important that you take your voice seriously and that you get on top of your vocal health. So what can happen if you don't look after your voice? Well, as well as the croakiness, as well as getting sore and hoarse, you can actually do some permanent damage, and this can result in nodules and polypses, and these are quite tricky to get rid of. So you can get rid of them with voice therapy. It takes a long time, and if that doesn't work, then you will have to have an operation. And your vocal cords are very, very delicate. They're strong but delicate. So they're fibrous muscles and fibrous tissues and muscles that are very, very delicate and get damaged very easily. Now, what is good about the vocal cords is that they can recover quite quickly if there's only slight temporary damage. But if you do some serious damage, it can take a long time for your voice to recover. And if you rely on your voice for work, that could put you out of work for up to a year, even more. So the dynamic voice method, as I've said, is a 4-part system, and I'm going to dive into those right now. So the first is relaxation. The second is register. The third is resonance, and the fourth is resilience. So let's go back and dive into the first part, which is relaxation. And in order to relax properly, one of the first things that I teach, and I'm going to show you right now, is how to use respiration, breathing, to relax the body, to relax the voice, to relax the mind, so that you're ready to start using your instrument the way it was designed to be used. So when we talk about voice, a lot of the time we forget that actually the whole body is an instrument, and we focus on this tiny part here, the larynx, which holds our vocal cords, and they're very, very tiny. And they come together kind of like this as the air travels through. So when air travels through and you're not talking, your vocal cords remain still. And as soon as you start to vocalize, they start to move kind of in and out like this. And if they're strained or inflamed, they bang together. And that's when bruises, tears, polyps, and nodules start to form. So that's what we want to avoid. And so by learning how to breathe properly and how to use the instrument the way it was designed, we can avoid the vocal cords from banging together, we can avoid tears and bruises, and we avoid straining the muscles in and around the larynx, in the neck and the throat. So we're going to start with a simple breathing exercise that you can use anywhere. No one needs to know that you're doing it. It's nothing major. It's nothing, there's no exhibitionism in there. It's just a simple, basic breathing exercise. And once you know this, you'll be able to start to work with your instrument rather than against it. So either sitting or standing, whichever works for you. If you're sitting down, please make sure that your feet, your knees and your ankles are at right angles, as much as is comfortable for you. So head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles if you're standing, and a gentle bend in the knee. If you wanted to bounce, you could, but we're not going to be bouncing. So if you're sitting, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, feet, legs and feet at right angles. And I just like you to sit for a couple of moments, relax the stomach, relax the shoulders, relaxing the neck and relaxing the back. And just take a couple of breaths. Just breathing normally. We're not taking any deep breaths. We're not doing anything extra special. Just noticing what the body does as you breathe. And you'll start to notice that your stomach is nice and loose, your ribs are starting to expand, your back is expanding, and your body is moving in this kind of a motion. So it's almost like blowing up a balloon. As the air enters your lungs, imagine that you have pinholes in the top of each lung. Your lungs are like balloons, and the air is going to fill from the bottom upwards. And as you're breathing, start to hiss the air out. So not taking any deep breaths, just breathing normally, allowing the air to come into the body, filling up the lungs from the bottom, and hiss. And breathing in again. And hiss. And this is a really simple way of just checking that the breath is controlled, that you're exhaling in a controlled way. Now, it may be that your breath is wavering. Maybe the hisses are more like, but it will become easier the more that you do that, the more that you do this exercise. So let's take a couple more breaths, breathing in, filling up the lungs like balloons from the bottom upwards, breathing in and And one more time, breathing in. And now that's an exercise that you probably would want to do by yourself, but if you're around people or you're at an event and you just want to calm yourself, you want to stop the voice from wobbling, you could just breathe normally. You can just exhale normally. Focusing on the air coming up through the instrument and out through the mouth. Now, the second part of the 4-part system focuses on register, and by that I mean vocal register. So we have 4 vocal registers, and by understanding what they are and how they work, we can navigate through them so that we can start to create a smoother sound. We can speak more powerfully, we can speak with more control, and therefore sound and speak more confidently. So let's dive into register. The 4 vocal registers are the fry, the chest voice or the chest register, the head voice or head register, and at the top we have the whistle. The head register can also be called falsetto in singing terms. It just depends on the vocal coach that you're talking to. Now, 4 vocal registers: fry, chest, head voice or falsetto, and right at the top we have the whistle. So I'm going to demonstrate the 4 to you. The vocal fry doesn't actually have a vocal sound. It's like a door creaking. It sounds like this. Now the chest voice, the chest register, resonates in the chest, does what it says on the tin, and that's where most people's speaking voices sit. So your speaking voice might sit right in the chest, or it might sit slightly above in a mixture between your head voice and your chest. But if you haven't had any training, it's likely that it sits in your chest. So if you place your hand over your chest like this and use a low voice, you can feel your chest voice, your voice resonating inside your chest cavity. And that is your chest voice. Now the head voice is a little bit higher, so it sounds higher in pitch, and some people do speak in a head voice. So it's lighter, it's slightly more airy. If you haven't had any training, we can make it stronger, and that's what I help people to do. So to access the head voice, the head register, I would recommend that you maybe use a note that's kind of in your singing, your choiry voice. Now for most of you, that may sound a little lighter, as I said, a little bit airy. And that's why most of us avoid using it, because it doesn't sound as strong and as powerful. And so we lack the confidence to use that part of our voice. And then right at the top, we have the whistle. And this is not really accessed by our speaking voice. It can be accessed by screaming, but I don't advise that you scream. It's very bad for your voice unless you know how to scream properly. So here's the whistle voice for you. And again, it can sound light and airy. It's uses the higher pitches of the voice. And it resonates somewhere around here. Okay, so by navigating the 4 parts, the 4 registers, we're able to create more strength, more power, more control, and to speak more confidently. Now, if you're getting into situations where your throat is sore, you're getting hoarse and croaky regularly, here are some things that you can do to avoid that from happening. Of course, stay hydrated. Now, this doesn't just mean drinking water, although drinking water is going to help. So I often see coaches and speakers guzzling gallons and gallons of water and not getting anywhere, still ending up with a croaky voice at the end of the day. And that's because they're not using the voice techniques. They're not using their voice or their instrument properly. So if you're not using the right techniques, no amount of water is going to stop you from getting a croaky voice if you're speaking at length. Okay, but what you can do is to avoid caffeine. So avoiding lots of coffee, especially if you put sugar in it, because caffeine and sugar all dehydrate the voice. Now, actually, most things are bad for your voice, unfortunately, but you've got to live a little. So if you're having coffee, please just keep it to a minimum. And if you can, avoid the sugar in the milk, because the milk is also not so good for the voice. A really, really good and powerful way of revitalizing your voice at the end of the day, after long sessions or at the end of a full day's seminar, is you can steam your voice. So especially if you've been in a hotel where there's air conditioning, you've been talking to lots of people, you've been speaking to your audience, and you've been networking in between, maybe even gone to a dinner or a gala afterwards. By steaming your voice, you're going to allow the steam to go directly into the vocal cords, whereas water hydrates through the body, the steam will directly hit your vocal cords and start to soothe them. So throw some honey, throw some lemon, eucalyptus, menthol into that steam bath, and you'll find that that's going to help your voice. So I'd like to share with you now a warm-up that you can do daily. I would recommend that you do it after a bath or a shower when the bathroom is full of steam, so that it will help your voice. So let's get started. So again, head over shoulders, shoulders over hips, hips over ankles. If you're sitting, please do have your knees and ankles at 90-degree angles, as much as is comfortable for you. So let's feel the ground beneath our feet. Nice loose stomach. Relaxed back, relaxed shoulders. And imagine that there are roots coming out of your feet into the ground, down into the earth, planting you, grounding you. And take some breaths. Notice your stomach is nice and loose. Notice a nice loose back. Notice your neck and your shoulders are relaxed. And we're going to look over our shoulder. Looking over your shoulder as far as you can. Of course, if you have any injuries, just do what you can. Coming back to the center, through to the other side. Looking over your shoulder, breathing normally, nice loose stomach. And coming back to the center. And now let's bring our chin down to our chest. And if you're able, just drooping over, letting the arms hang like a rag doll. Nice loose stomach, loose shoulders, loose back. Letting the head hang. Taking a couple of breaths. And coming back up to the center. Let's roll the shoulders 5 times backwards. Noticing the shoulder blade coming in and out as you roll. Keep breathing normally and coming forwards. Loose stomach, loose shoulder. And over to the other side. Let's roll the other shoulder backwards. Noticing how relaxed you're feeling, loose stomach. And forwards. I lost count there. And we're going to do a really fun face exercise. I call it big face, small face. So big face does what it says on the tin. We're going to open the mouth, open the eyes nice and wide, stick the tongue out, and remember to breathe. So here's what it looks like. Big face. And we're going to get the eyes moving the muscles, the eye muscles. Keep breathing. And then we're going to make a small face, scrunch it all up, closing the eyes. Keep breathing. And again, big face. And small face. That probably looks a bit scary, me. Our eyes bulging into the lens like that. And last time, big face. Getting the eye muscles moving, sticking the tongue right out. And breathing. And small face. Okay, and relax. So I'm going to show you a really quick way of warming up your voice without straining. So we're going to do a lip bubble. So we purse our lips and blow through the top lip. Now, I've been doing this a very long time. So you may need to help yourself out. So take your fingers and we're just going to gently ease the muscles here at the side. So we're not pulling back. If you pull back, you won't be able to bubble. Doesn't work. So nice and loose so that you can still purse your lip, relaxed pursed lip, and blow through the top. Now it's likely that you're falling about laughing now, and that's fine. So let's just ground ourselves again. So just grounding yourself again, feet on the floor, imagining roots coming out of your feet into the floor, pursing our lips, blowing through the top. And let's do a long siren from the bottom to the top, from the lower pitch to a higher pitch. Now, you may or may not be able to go as low and as high as I can. Doesn't matter. Just what's comfortable for you. Let's do that again. And let's do some low sirens. And some high sirens. Now, people around you might think that you've gone crazy, but they'll get used to hearing you do it. You'll get used to doing it. And when it becomes a habit, it's something that's you'll really start to notice that your voice is going to sound more controlled and eventually more powerful. Okay, so let's do some more long sirens. We're going to do some other funny sounds now. So we're going to do a zzz, like a motorbike. Zzz. And let's change to a v. And let's change to a zh. Now, if you have a slightly higher speaking voice, of course, if you can raise the pitch, so whichever is comfortable for you. So let's start with the zzz, 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 and and zh. Now, if you do this every morning, you'll start to feel more confident that your voice is going to last longer, and you'll notice that your voice sounds smoother. And there we have it. I hope you've enjoyed this course. We've had a deep dive into my 4-part dynamic voice method. We looked at respiration, register, resonance, and resilience. And we had a deep dive into register and respiration. And we did a quick vocal warm-up that you can do every single day. Now, if you want to find out more about how I can help you, you can find me on LinkedIn under Carrie Griffiths Voice Training. I'm also on Instagram at Carrie Griffiths Voice Training. That's 2 F's, ITHS, Griffiths. You can also find me on Facebook, and you can find me at my website, which is www.secretvocalacademy.com. So I look forward to hearing you. Enjoy the exercises. Remember to look after your voice, hydrate, avoid the coffee, and I've already said it, but let's say it again. Stay hydrated. I'll see you very soon. Take care. Ciao.